Welcome to Streaming News Network, where we deliver balanced reporting with the facts that matter. The Morning Edition by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Authorities in Laguna Beach, California, are investigating a deadly domestic homicide after a 61-year-old woman was found dead inside her home earlier this week. Police responded to a residence on Dunning Drive at approximately 11 o'clock Monday morning, where they discovered Angela Caprioli deceased. Officials have not released details about the cause of death. On Thursday, police arrested Caprioli's 36-year-old son, Safford Wolfson, on suspicion of murder. Investigators say the case appears to involve domestic violence within the family, but no motive has been announced. Neighbors described Wolfson as someone who generally kept to himself, occasionally spending time outside smoking or playing guitar. Several residents also reported regularly seeing caregivers at the home and said Caprioli had been visiting the residence in recent days. Investigators continue to examine evidence, including publicly available social media activity, as part of the ongoing investigation. Authorities have not indicated whether any online information is connected to the alleged crime. The case remains under active investigation, and no additional details have been released regarding what may have led to the fatal incident. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A legal challenge is underway in New York City after a group of 6 property owners filed a lawsuit over the city's recently approved rent freeze for rent-stabilized apartments. The lawsuit questions the process used by the New York City Rent Guidelines Board, which voted in June by a margin of 7-1 to freeze rent increases on 1-year and 2-year leases affecting approximately 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. Supporters of the lawsuit argue the board acknowledged that operating costs had increased by about 5% but still approved the rent freeze while considering the possibility of future financial assistance that had not been approved and was not guaranteed. They contend the board exceeded its legal authority by relying on uncertain future funding. The case has also drawn attention to the resignation of a Rent Guidelines Board member shortly before the vote. The former member claimed the outcome had effectively been decided in advance, calling the proceedings theater. City Hall has rejected those allegations, maintaining that the Rent Guidelines Board operates independently and reached its decision through its established process. The court will now determine whether the board followed the legal procedures required when adopting the rent freeze. The outcome could have significant implications for both property owners and tenants across New York City's rent-stabilized housing market. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Federal health officials say a Cyclospora outbreak linked to recalled iceberg lettuce has now been connected to 9 states as investigators continue tracing the source of the infections. The latest states added to the outbreak investigation are Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania. They join Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia in what officials describe as the nation's largest known outbreak of cyclosporiasis linked to a common food source. The Food and Drug Administration says the illnesses are believed to be associated with shredded iceberg lettuce supplied by Taylor Farms and grown in central Mexico. While laboratory testing has not confirmed the lettuce as the source, investigators say interviews with those who became ill and product tracing strongly support the connection. Health officials report that 1,947 people across the 9 states have become ill after reporting exposure at Taco Bell restaurants. At least 98 people have been hospitalized, and no deaths have been reported. Taylor Farms has voluntarily recalled the affected lettuce, and Taco Bell has removed the product from its restaurants. Officials caution that additional confirmed cases are expected because it can take up to 6 weeks to link new illnesses to the outbreak. Cyclospora is a parasite that can spread through contaminated food or water. Common symptoms include frequent watery diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea, and fatigue. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Authorities are investigating a dramatic seaplane crash off the coast of Washington state after an aircraft carrying 11 people made an emergency landing before catching fire. The seaplane departed Seattle and was en route to Roche Harbor when it encountered trouble approximately 45 minutes into the flight. The aircraft came down in Shallow Bay near Susha Island at about 5:15 Thursday evening. According to emergency officials, the plane was carrying 10 passengers and 1 pilot. All 11 people were safely accounted for following the crash. Rescue crews responded quickly, with assistance from the United States Coast Guard, local law enforcement, emergency medical teams, and the United States Navy. 4 people were transported to hospitals with serious injuries, including 1 person reported to be in critical condition. Authorities said the injuries included head trauma, broken bones, and lacerations. Video from the scene showed survivors climbing from the aircraft after it came to rest against shoreline rocks. Moments later, the plane burst into flames. The aircraft remains at the crash site while officials evaluate any potential environmental impact. The National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration have both been notified and are leading the investigation into what caused the emergency landing. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A family in England is grieving after two heartbreaking tragedies unfolded within just 6 hours, claiming the lives of both a mother and her son. 70-year-old Carol Tinsley was killed in a traffic collision on July 10 while traveling to a hospital to identify the body of her 46-year-old son, Andrew Tinsley. Earlier that day, Andrew died after entering a river near Llangollen in North Wales. Authorities are investigating the circumstances surrounding his death, with family members believing he may have suffered cold water shock. Carol was traveling with Andrew's former partner and his 3 children when their vehicle collided with another car near Chester, England. Police said Carol died at the scene, while 3 other occupants were injured. The driver of the second vehicle was not injured, and the cause of the crash remains under investigation. Relatives described the events as unimaginable, saying the family was ripped apart by losing 2 loved ones on the same day. They remembered Carol as a devoted grandmother with a warm sense of humor and Andrew as an athletic, outgoing father who was deeply loved by family and friends. Authorities continue separate investigations into both the river incident and the fatal traffic collision. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. Former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and current National Football League television analyst Tony Romo has been arrested in Wisconsin on suspicion of operating a vehicle while under the influence. According to the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, Romo was stopped Thursday evening while driving southbound on Interstate 43 across a high-rise bridge in Milwaukee. Deputies say he was taken into custody after allegedly performing poorly on a series of field sobriety tests. Authorities booked Romo into the Milwaukee County Jail. Court records indicate he is scheduled to make his first court appearance on September 21. Romo played for the Dallas Cowboys from 2003 through 2016, passing for more than 34,000 yards and 248 touchdowns during his National Football League career. Since retiring from professional football, he has become a well-known game analyst covering National Football League broadcasts. This is reported to be Romo's first arrest. As with any criminal case, the charge remains an allegation, and he is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Former 60 Minutes correspondent Cecilia Vega is publicly alleging that political pressure influenced editorial decisions at CBS News before her departure from the network earlier this year. Speaking at the National Association of Hispanic Journalists conference in New Orleans, Vega said network executives encouraged her to include claims in several news reports that she says could not be verified. According to Vega, one request involved reporting alleged assaults on immigration and customs enforcement officers during protests, while another involved statements she says were falsely attributed to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Vega said her reporting team found no credible evidence supporting either claim. She also said she was asked to begin a report on the conflict involving Iran with language she believed reflected a political talking point rather than objective reporting. Vega emphasized that the disputed material was ultimately not included in her final broadcasts. CBS News has rejected Vega's allegations. In a statement, the network said her claims are not based in reality. The network has also pointed to comments from its editor-in-chief, who said editorial review and story revisions are a normal part of newsroom management and not evidence of political interference. Vega, who joined 60 Minutes in 2023, said she has not been given an official reason for her dismissal and expressed concern about the future direction of the news organization. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Music producer Sean Diddy Combs has reportedly been placed in solitary confinement following an alleged altercation with another inmate at the Federal Correctional Institution in Fort Dix, New Jersey. According to multiple media reports, the incident occurred earlier this week after an exchange between Combs and another inmate reportedly escalated into a physical confrontation. Prison security personnel intervened, separated those involved, and Combs was subsequently placed in solitary confinement. Federal prison officials have declined to discuss the matter publicly, stating they do not release internal information regarding inmates in their custody. It remains unclear whether Combs is still being held in solitary confinement or whether any additional disciplinary action will be taken as a result of the reported incident. Combs is currently serving a federal prison sentence following his conviction on charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. Based on current sentencing information, he could become eligible for release as early as February 2028 if he receives all available credits for good behavior. No injuries have been publicly reported, and prison officials have not released further details regarding the alleged altercation. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Country singer Aaron Lee Tasjan says a small group of concertgoers walked out of his performance in Galveston, Texas, after he performed one of his politically themed songs. According to Tasjan, about 8 audience members left during his performance of I Love America Better Than You, a song that references a variety of political and cultural issues, including immigration, transgender rights, the January 6 Capitol attack, and former President Barack Obama. In a social media post following the concert, Tasjan said he believed the audience members were uncomfortable with the song's message but emphasized that he respected their decision to leave. He also said he views music as a way to encourage reflection and discussion rather than simply entertain. Tasjan described the song as an attempt to explore the nation's values and identity, adding that avoiding difficult conversations could contribute to growing divisions in society. The incident comes amid continued debate over the role of politics in live entertainment. Some musicians have openly incorporated political commentary into their performances, while others have argued that concerts should remain focused primarily on entertaining audiences. The differing views reflect an ongoing discussion about the balance between artistic expression and audience expectations during live events.
Thank you for viewing Streaming News Network videos, and also short and special reports. Please like, subscribe, and tap the bell to be notified of additional reports.